Frontier by Maggot Moshpit. Chapter 6. Lef was standing in his house back on the moon. He didn't know how he got there, but everything seemed to make perfect sense. He heard soft singing from the other room and smelled food being prepared. Assuming it was his mother cooking breakfast, he ran into the room to see his mother was indeed cooking breakfast.
Hi, Mom. What's cooking?
His mother continued to sing and flip the contents of a pan on the stove. She did not respond. Lef grabbed a plate and utensils and sat at the table. His mother was much taller than he remembered, but he didn't mind. She walked over holding the pan in her paws above Lef's head so he couldn't see what was inside. Lef wanted to look at her face, but the closer he got to raising his head, the harder it became to do so. She poured the contents of the pan onto his plate. Lef looked at it in anticipation. However, what dropped into the plate was not food, but a bundle of intestines, still pulsing with peristalsis.
Ah!
Lef screamed and jumped back, losing his balance and falling onto the floor. Suddenly, he was covered in a blanket and thrashing about in an attempt to free himself from it. He finally threw it off and was back in his room on the frontier. He sat on the floor for a long time, breathing heavily as the sweat glistened on his bare fur in the dim light. After calming himself down, he noticed the splitting headache he had.
Must have bumped my head.
He pulled himself up and looked at the screen on his desk, the only source of light in the room. It was already noon. He sighed and went to get some clothes and painkillers. Lef stumbled into the cockpit and grabbed a cup of coffee in a tired daze. 1 month had passed since anything exciting happened. Since then, Lena had become a competent pilot under Lef's instruction, and Feldo had shown his ability more than once. Lena was piloting the ship now, having gotten up earlier than Lef. She turned to greet him.
Hi!
Lef held up his paw and pointed to his cup.
Coffee first.
He stood there, sipping slowly as the fatigue in his eyes dissipated.
Okay, I'm awake now.
Good afternoon, Lef. Sleep well?
Lef practically fell into the co-pilot's seat.
I had the weirdest dream. My mother was serving up some entrails for breakfast. Made me fall out of bed and wake up in a pool of sweat.
Lena tried not to imagine Lef naked in a pool of his own sweat, but failed miserably.
A nightmare?
Yep. Have any dreams?
Lena blushed.
Yeah. I was flying in space like a bird.
Sounds pleasant.
It was.
The comm beeped, surprising them both. Lena looked at Lef.
There aren't many ships out here. I wonder who it could be.
Only one way to find out.
Lef answered the call.
Ships in range, this is a distress call. Main power is down and life support is running out. Please help. I repeat.
Lef powered up the sensors and scanned the area.
That was an Atrian. Drop out of hyperspace.
Lena disengaged the drive as Lef hit the intercom button.
This is your captain. Good morning. There is a ship in distress. We are heading to assist. Zach, Zerlia, Feldo, report to the cockpit. Thank you.
The scanners showed a small blip with a very weak power signature. Lef took the controls and piloted the Frontier towards the small ship as he hailed it.
Vessel, we are moving to help. Prepare to come over to our ship.
There was no response. Feldo arrived first.
Who's in distress?
Lef pulled alongside the ship. They had come out of hyperspace very close by.
I don't know, but it's urgent. Aim the docking clamps, will you?
Feldo crossed the room where a joystick sat beneath a screen. He grabbed the joystick, which allowed for extremely fine adjustments to the ship's position by only using 1% thruster power. He slowly guided the Frontier's docking port to the other ships, inch by inch.
Almost got it.
His paw twitched, and he bumped airlocks with the other ship.
Feldo, watch it!
Sorry.
Feldo tightened his grip and held his breath. Soon he had the clamps locked on. The camera Feldo was looking through showed a figure fall out of the ship, gasping for air. Feldo jumped up.
Guys, look!
He pointed at the screen. Lef and Lena were on their paws and running down the hall towards the airlock in seconds. Surly and Zach were already there, helping the figure to its feet. As the other three arrived, they got a good look at their face. It was a man, and he was a Siamese cat, with a black face, white fur, and a long, whippy tail. He coughed as he took several deep breaths.
Hello. Thanks for rescuing me. I was nearly out of air.
Lef took his other side and led him down to the engine room, and Lef and Zerlia helped him into a chair. It took him a minute to catch his breath before he looked up at the 5 faces seated around him.
Thanks again. My name's Sue. I'm a stellar cartographer from one of the Atrian colonies inside Solar Federation space.
Why didn't you say you had so little air?
Oh, the message you heard was a recording. I left it on a while back. I thought I was dead for sure.
What caused your main power to go offline?
I burned out a fuel relay and it caused an explosion that damaged the ion engine.
Wait, why didn't you just go to hyperspace?
Sue looked sideways and then back quickly.
I ran out of drive fuel. I didn't prepare very well. I can't repair the engine myself, so I could use some help. And if you could spare some fuel, then I'll be on my way.
Zack looked at Feldo, who nodded.
Alright, let's take a look.
They got up, and Sue got up to follow them, but Sirlia sat him back down.
You're in no shape to help them. You have CO2 poisoning, and you need to let your third lung filter it.
Lef smiled.
I'm Lef, the captain of the Frontier. That's Sirlia, my first officer. This is Lena, my pilot. And those two that just left are my engineers, Feldo and Zack.
Sue nodded to each in turn.
You hungry? We were just about to sit down for lunch.
I could eat until I explode.
Sirlia, Lef, Lena, and Sue sat around the conference table. In the center was a large pot of larva soup. Sue rubbed his paws together.
Man, it's been too long since I had real food. I'm swearing off the freeze-dried stuff forever. How fresh is the larva?
They were freeze-dried.
Sue ladled some into his bowl.
I retract my previous statement.
They dug in, Lef and Sue especially.
Man, missing breakfast is not fun.
Try missing 5 breakfasts in a row.
Touché.
Drink and bread was passed around as the crew got to know Sue.
So, what's your colony like?
Sirlia asked.
I've never been to any of the Atrian colonies in Solar Federation space.
Sue took a moment to swallow.
Well, it's just like any colony, I suppose. Nothing really special about it. How long will the repairs take? I have a lot of ground to make up, charting stuff and all.
I really have no idea. Zack can give you an estimate.
He took a swig of fruit juice.
So, a stellar cartographer, eh? You must get to see plenty of cool things, anomalies, trinary star systems, weird aliens. Oh, hey, do you mind if we download what you've charted so far?
Lena perked up.
Oh, yes! I would love that! To see all the interesting things you've discovered!
Oh, my job isn't very exciting. I just chart empty space, sometimes a nebula or two. Besides, the company I work for doesn't want me giving anyone my charts.
Oh, come on! There's not much to do in our spare time once you've read all the books, watched all the movies, and played all the video games. Can't we just take one little peek?
I said no! They'd fire me on the spot!
That's kinda harsh, don't you think? Just for sharing some empty space?
Sue buried his nose in his food.
I can't, I'm sorry.
Lef and Lena were both convinced Sue was hiding something, but didn't press the issue. After they had finished, Lena took Sue on a tour of the frontier. Lef and Sirlia, on the other hand, paid a visit to Feldo and Zack. Sue's shuttle was very small on the inside. The pilot's seat had a large touchscreen that controlled all the ship's systems, an older technology, expensive and prone to problems. The rear of the ship was black with soot, and the ground was covered with metal pieces. Zack was removing a chunk of metal that had lodged itself in the engine. Feldo waved.
Hey guys, things are pretty bad here. The primary fuel relay exploded, not sure why. Sue was lucky he didn't get killed by that alone.
Zack wrenched the piece out, and it clattered to the floor.
You can say that again. I'm not sure this thing's ever going to fly again, at least not in normal space. Although I wouldn't recommend jumping anywhere either.
Lef looked at the carnage that surrounded him.
How long?
I can't repair this by myself, but I could get it running at, about 20% efficiency. He should be able to link back to a dock or his colony then.
What about the cause?
Zack looked behind Lef and Sirlia to make sure no one would overhear.
At first, it looked like a safety malfunction, but I noticed unusual residue on some of the walls. Some of these burns are from energy weapon fire. That got me thinking, so I checked the outside of the shuttle as well. Sure enough, the entire thing is covered in weapon damage.
Lef and Sirlia looked at each other uneasily.
So what does that mean? You think he's a criminal?
Seems likely. We'd better keep an eye on him.
Lef addressed Fellow and Zack.
Alright, good work. Keep trying to get this thing working, but take your time, understand?
Lef and Sirlia headed back to the cockpit, meeting Lena and Sue in the hall. They seemed to be getting along fine. Lef waved and pulled Lena aside.
Sirlia, why don't you continue the tour?
Sirlia nodded and led Sue to the converted cargo space. Lef turned to Lena.
Zach found evidence of weapon fire in and on Sue's ship. Did he tell you anything?
No, but he seems agitated, like he's got somewhere to be.
Keep an eye out. Something's not right here.
Lena tilted her head to one side.
But I also get the feeling he has nothing against us, you know? Maybe he's just late for something and doesn't want too many questions asked.
Seems plausible. Let's head to the cockpit. I don't like leaving it empty when the autopilot's not on.
They passed their time in the cockpit talking and playing word games. They had gotten to know each other quite well in the relatively short period of time, and Lena had told Lef about her life out in the country. Zach came by to give reports from time to time, and was optimistic about his chances of getting Sue's engines working again. Sue himself stopped by to inform Lef he would be in his shuttle working. Afternoon turned to night as conversation slowly dried up. Lef engaged the autopilot and stretched his arms.
Well, Peach, time to put everything in night mode, including me.
Lef laughed at his own joke. Lena remained silent as she powered down her station. Lef noticed the look on her face.
What's up?
Sometimes I don't understand how you can be so clueless.
Hey now, no need for name-calling.
She rose and walked up to him. Lef, assuming he was in trouble for something, backed up.
What did I do?
Lef,
Whatever it is, I'm sorry.
I've never done this before.
Done what? What's...
Lef trailed off as it slowly dawned on him.
I like you. More than regular people like each other. I mean...
You've got a thing for me.
Yeah.
He sat down in his chair and blinked slowly.
Huh.
Yeah, so there. You probably don't, but I just had to get it out of my system.
Lef smiled to himself and stood, walking up to Lena and standing close to her.
What makes you say that?
What?
Why would you just assume I don't feel the same way about you?
Do you?
He laughed and put his paws on her arms.
Of course I do, Peach. You're intelligent, cute, and... Sorry, I've only done this twice before, and neither of them worked out very well. Let me try this again. I knew you were something the second I saw you. I don't know when it happened, but I like you, Lena.
Her face lit up with joy.
I love...
She found it was difficult to continue speaking, as Lef abruptly kissed her. She was stunned at first, but soon closed her eyes and kissed back. He pulled away and locked eyes with her.
Lef.
He smiled and caressed her ear.
Okay, if you want. Not much else to do in a cargo ship going out to the 4th.
What? How did you...
I don't know. I just know, Peach.
He led her out the door and down the hall to his room, and led her inside. Celia walked into the cockpit, expecting to find Lef. He was not there. She looked around, shrugged, and went back to her cabin. Lef woke up early in the morning from a dreamless sleep. Lena still had her arms wrapped around him, asleep. Something was off. Lef could feel it. Something gnawing at the edge of his consciousness. Something terrible. The feeling grew, and grew, and grew. Lef began to panic, so he sat up abruptly. Lena woke up to see Lef, with his back against the wall, eyes darting side to side. He noticed she was awake.
Something's wrong.
She sat up, grabbing the blanket so she could cover herself up.
Did you have another nightmare?
Suddenly the ship rocked violently, causing Lena to tumble out of bed. Seconds passed between the first shock and the next. The second shock knocked Lef off the bed. They got to their feet as quick as they could. Lef started throwing on his clothes.
It's gone.
Lena pulled on the clothes she was wearing the other day.
What's gone?
The terrible feeling. It's gone.
Lena tugged on her shoes.
Maybe that's a good thing.
Lef pushed the door open and ran into the hall, Lena close behind. Celia was just coming out of her room, and they met in the hallway.
Lef, what's happening? Lena?
Lef held up his paw to explain, but Celia smacked it aside and ran towards the cockpit.
Ugh, I don't care. We have bigger fish to fry.
The cockpit was dead. Celia looked around.
What the hell? Why isn't the night computer on?
Lef tugged the collar of his shirt.
Well, I guess I forgot.
Celia jumped into the co-pilot seat and booted the main computer while Lef took his seat. Another shock rocked the ship, and panicked colonists could be heard from the converted cargo bay. As soon as the computer was online, a million indicators came on all at once, and alarms blared. Celia tried to take it in all at once.
We're being hailed.
Lef pressed the comm button.
I don't know who the hell you are, but stop attacking us. We don't have anything of value.
The face that appeared on Left's screen was a lion, his mane large and imposing. He spoke in a gruff voice.
The ship that is currently docked with you, it belongs to us. We can only assume you are harboring fugitives. Prepare to have your ship and cargo seized.
Left tried to reason with him.
Wait, on what authority? You aren't a lawman.
I was granted the role of sheriff by the Atrian government, so that I could keep the peace on my planet.
We have someplace to be. If you want Sue, you can have him, but only after I see what he's been convicted of, and you assure us we can be let free.
The lion frowned.
I'm afraid I can't risk letting you go. Who knows what he's told you?
He hasn't told us anything.
But it was too late. The lion had cut the transmission. Seconds later, the ship rocked again, this time more lightly. Celia looked at the sensor data streaming in.
He's locked onto us with a tractor beam, and his ship is much better equipped than ours.
Zack ran into the cockpit.
What's happening?
No time to explain. Reverse the polarity of the hull. That might get this tractor beam off us.
Left wrestled with the wheel, pulling left and right, trying to break free. Once the hull polarity was reversed, he felt the ship gain some responsiveness, but not enough.
Lena, get on those cannons and disable his tractor beam.
Lena stood in the middle of the room, frozen in place.
I can't.
Just do it.
Lena ran out of the cockpit.
Damn it!
She jumped up and grabbed the weapons controls. She fired several shells at the beam emitter. The projectiles did nothing to the emitter, but the beam locked onto the projectiles instead of the Frontier, which jolted away. They didn't get very far, however, as the other ship disengaged the tractor beam and instead fired their energy weapon directly into the Frontier's ion engine. Zack watched as the power levels dropped quickly in the ion engine's core.
Left, they've locked on again with the tractor beam. I don't think there's anything we can do this time.
Left ground his teeth for a solid 30 seconds. He reluctantly hailed the ship again.
All right, we surrender.
The lion appeared on screen again.
I'm glad you finally made the right choice. We'll be towing you back to our colony where you and your ship will be processed.
He cut the transmission. Celia turned to Left, eyes alight with wrath.
Left, why the hell wasn't the night computer on? As if I don't know.
Celia, it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. Lena was more important at the time.
You guys picked the worst goddamn time to fall in love.
Zack held up his arms.
Well, guys, come on. Maybe let's do this later?
Sue and Rackham both burst through the cockpit doors at the same time. Rackham spoke first.
Left! What the hell is going on? Is it the pirates again?
Sue answered for Left.
It's no pirates, sir. It's much worse.
Rackham looked at him.
What do you mean, worse?
Sue sat on the floor and began his tale.
I suppose I should tell you everything. I come from Bowman's planet.
What? Isn't that place dead?
You may have heard it was dead, yes, but that's not what happened. There was a revolution on Bowman's planet. A crazed cult leader rose up with an army and overthrew the local government. In only a short time, he moved the remaining population underground to hide. They were forced to practice the sick practices the cult had. I was forced to.
Rackham wiped a handkerchief across his brow.
What sick practices exactly?
Sue visibly did not want to recall them.
They believe in survival of the fittest. Rape is encouraged as a rite of passage, and anyone who isn't a feline species are forced to serve as slaves. Except foxes. They use foxes as sacrifices to their gods.
Celia gulped.
Foxes, huh?
I fled that hellish place.
Left looked at the ship on scanners.
This is bad. I better find Lena.
He got up and went for the door. Rackham stopped him.
Left, I know this wasn't your fault. But wherever this goes, remember what I told you.
Left nodded to him and ran out into the corridor. Left found Lena in one of the smaller cargo bays. She was standing in the corner, literally kicking herself. She heard Left approaching and looked up.
I'm sorry, Lef.
She embraced him.
I'm sorry. I panicked.
Left patted her back.
It's okay. The weapons didn't work anyway.
She broke off the hug.
They didn't? What's going to happen?
We're being taken to Bowman's planet. I know you're scared, but I need you to be strong. Hell, I'm scared shitless, but we can get out of this.
You still haven't told me what this is.
Left took her paw.
Follow me. Sue will explain, then we need to come up with a plan.